Hi, my name's Rita. Hi, my name's Rita Kayat. I am graduating from the VCA Bachelor of Production, majoring in stage management. Mid-high school, I knew I wanted to do stage management. I was really into the music program at school, but I never really wanted to be a performer. I was always in school productions and getting involved in the arts life at high school, but I knew that I didn't want to be a performer, so it seemed like the next logical step, and it kind of worked for me. I definitely learnt the most from my stage management role earlier this year. It was my first proper stage management role, and having an ASM for the first time was kind of a really big learning curve. You know, finally being at the helm for the first time was very different, but I really enjoyed it, and I was really proud of myself. Yeah. A moment of difficulty, I suppose, was our first tech rehearsal for Alive the Mind. That was the first time I'd ever really had to run a tech rehearsal and have, you know, the creatives and the crew there, and also the director and the cast and everybody just kind of waiting for my direction. You know, getting that off the ground was initially quite difficult, but I think I really managed to pull everybody together and to get it to run quite smoothly. I think it started off kind of shaky, but considering the circumstances, I think it went really well. So this year I've done 3 secondments. My first was with Sunset Events in Fremantle, WA, and I worked on the Southbound Festival as artist liaison. That was an unexpected role, but I really loved it. It was so incredible. And after that I did Worm Adelaide in Adelaide as productions comment, working with the production management and production coordinator, and also working quite closely with the site team. That was really epic. That was huge. I've just come back from Darwin. I was in Darwin for 2 months working as productions comment on the Darwin Festival, which was equally amazing. Yeah, that was completely different to my other 2 secondments. I worked really closely with everybody in the office. I didn't feel like a secondment. I felt like a member of the crew and you know, totally a part of the whole process. I'm currently stage managing 2 pieces in the end of the dance season. My choreographers are Jodie Ferrugia and Tracy Mitchell, and this is the 2nd time that I've worked on dance, but the first time that I've stage managed it. Next year I would really like to get more experience in festivals and events. I'd like to look into possibly doing some project management for some events. I think that would be really great. And also exploring different roles in festivals. I did a bit of artist liaison and I think that was really great, so I'd love it if I could do that again. But yeah, I'd just like to, you know, do as much different work in as many different environments as I can, and meet lots of people and yeah, just see what's out there.
Hello, my name is Chaka. I'm graduating from the VCA production as a stage manager. I was born in Japan, went kindergarten there, went elementary school in South Korea, went back to Japan for middle school, and went high school in Thailand. My favorite toy when I was a kid is Lego. I still like it, so. I like Melbourne's the sky. I think I like the sky in Melbourne, especially at night. It's really great to see at the end of the day, like when I'm really tired and I'm finally out of the rehearsal room. On my way back home, I look at the sky and I see the sun shining, and it may be not as bright as the rest of the countryside here in Australia, but it's still beautiful enough for me. In my first year, I assistant stage managed Met Forest by Tanya Gerstle and End of Year Dance Season down at Gasworks Theatre. In my second year, I costume managed Mid-Year Dance Season and also I stage managed one of the end of the year piece called Bespoke by Helen Herbertson. And earlier this year, I stage managed City of Angels, which is a musical. And for my last placement here, I'm on Dance Season stage manager. I think one of the reasons I enjoyed the secondment at the Australian Ballet was they were welcoming Japanese they were welcoming me as Japanese. They got Japanese dancers of their own, and the costume designer for Romeo and Juliet, he's Japanese. He's originally from Japan, and they had a great tour to Japan last year, and everyone seems to enjoy that really well. So I've got a job back in Japan at a production company, and I don't know which department I'll be assigned to, but I'm hoping that I can get into stage management and maybe do a little bit of ballet because I like ballet. The company that I got a job for, it's a production company, so they do lots of stuff about backstage. They mainly do lighting because that's where people make money of. But they have a small stage management department, and they also do hires for lighting and AV gears. And they do outside events, boring forums, or ballet competitions, and anything that would come to the company, they would take those jobs.
My name is Bridget. I'm third year production student majoring in stage management. I've had a very fun 3 years at VCA. I started off with all 7 subjects when it was tech drawing was still the picture, and then I majored in tech drawing, lighting, workshop and stage management in first year, and then second year was workshop and stage management, and then I finished up with a year and a half of full-time stage management. Placements of VCA. I have done 2 ASM placements in first year and second year, and I did workshop assistant in first and second year as well, and then stage management placements for the last 6 months. Well, the last year, in third year. I think favourite placement would. I've enjoyed all of them because they're all different in their own different way, and you've got to learn to work with different people, and you learn so much about yourself. But the most fun I had was probably Crimes of the Heart last semester when I was stage manager for my first go. But obviously that's in a lot higher position. But in terms of assistance, was probably my workshop placements, because I don't often get dirty and be practical and, work with all this physical workshop gear. So that was really exciting, very different. I just learnt heaps out of workshop, more than I did in classes. So yeah, definitely workshop. I did a week of Rock of Ages, which was just incredible. It's so different to any type of theatre I've ever worked on, any type of musical. It was just, it's like this massive concert on stage, and it was just amazing. I mean, there was 1,300 and something cues, and it was just phenomenal. So that was such an incredible experience. And then I'm working for a producing company, or I'm seconding for a producing company next month. They produce international acts. What jobs have I had before or during uni? I have been a swimming teacher. I have been a drum teacher. I have been a lighting electrician at Mariners. I currently work at a restaurant on Lycon Street. Next year, find a full-time job that I have constant income. No, probably network, meet people, get as much freelance work as I can. I'd like to be based in Melbourne, visa restrictions, but I'd like to be based in Melbourne. Saying that, if I end up with a job from my secondment or part-time employment with anything and that I have to go into it, I'll happily go into it. I'd love to go into it.
My name's Aaron McDonald. I'm a third year lighting design student at the VCA. I grew up down on the Mornington Peninsula, down in a place called Bitton near Hastings. Started doing lighting when I was 12 in community theatre, and it's just always been a passion of mine to do things like that. It's a lot of fun. It's always something different, always a challenge. There's always new equipment and technology coming out that means I'm always learning something new every day. The first technical experience I ever had was in grade 4 of primary school when I pulled apart the school's PA system during lunch and then had to frantically put it back together to end lunch. Second year's first semester was Ghetto, sound design and sound system design for Harry, who was it was a third year drama piece. And that was a great challenge, and that was probably the most complicated use of VCA sound equipment that's ever been devised, which was a lot of fun and, if not, very confusing. Third year first semester was City of Angels the musical, for which I was the lighting designer, which was my first lighting design ever. So having a large-scale musical to design as my first ever thing was quite a challenge. Not only was I in a completely alien role as the lighting designer, which I've never done before, but also it was such an elaborate play. There was so many elements. The set elements were huge. There was something like 300 costumes, and the whole piece was a model of insanity, but we all managed to get together and make it work. This semester, third year, second semester, I'm the lighting designer for St Kilda Tales in Studio 45, which is the third year graduation drama piece. I learnt that people in large groups can be very interesting. So we did a thing where there was a video to be played at this cabaret. It was opening night, we had to play this video, and I thought, oh, we'll just haze the stage up for the next act. So I turned the smoke machine on to full and just let it haze away, and next thing there's this big plume of smoke coming out of the stage, 50 feet tall, and then see one kid shine his torch into it, and then two kids, and then next thing I know, I'm letting the smoke go, and 3,500 kids are shining their torches into this column of smoke completely by accident, and it just looked stunning. To the point where the next night, Channel 9 that was filming the event asked me to do it again so that they could get it on camera. But it was one of those, oh, that's not what we intended, but bloody hell, it looks amazing moments. Despite the VCA's policy on don't go out into the industry, I fervently disagreed with that, and I'm actually on the books at 15 different companies. So depending on the day, depends on who I work for, but some of the main ones are Kingston Arts Centre, Frankston Arts Centre, Resolution X. They'd be the main ones. Next year I hope to start working for, hopefully, Performance Resource Group Australia, which used to be known as Bytecraft. I hope to work for them a bit next year, and then in the future tour with them maybe. Certainly work for one of the hire companies next year.
My name is Julia Nips. I'm graduating from VCA Production, majoring in lighting design. Before coming to VCA, I spent a year at the University of New South Wales studying advanced science, and I quickly realised that I didn't want to become a scientist, and so applied for all the theatre schools in the country, and I haven't regretted the decision at all. I originally came to the VCA wanting to study stage management, and in my first year I did a placement as a lighting design assistant and became really, really interested in the fact that design could be both creative and practical, and I liked having more of a creative input than just a management position. So the good thing about VCA is you can change your mind. My favourite placement is a hard one to pick. I think the one that I've just completed, which was A Mouthful of Birds, directed by Robert Walton, has been my favourite so far because it's been such a collaborative process, and I had a really good relationship with the set designer, and we bounced a lot of ideas off each other, and the director was very much open to other people's ideas, and we had such a creative forum and such an interesting show to work on, and so I think we really came up with something really interesting. During 2011, I've taken on 2 secondments. In February and March, I seconded with lighting and design company Blue Bottle 3 for about 5 weeks. I did a number of different roles there. I assisted Frog in a lighting design that he was doing for Stomp and Dance Company, and I also helped with the remounts of 3 different shows for the Dance Massive Festival that was going on. My second secondment was in June, and it was with lighting designer Paul Jackson at the Malt House on a Golem story. And that was a shorter secondment and largely observational, but it was great to have 2 secondments that were so different from each other, and I learnt a lot. I've also had 2 small jobs this year as a lighting designer, which has been really exciting. One was for La Trobe University Student Theatre, and the other was with a small company called the Artisan Collective, and it was just so great to be able to do what I love to do and get some money for it. So next year I hope to find work as a lighting technician for any of the larger theatre companies, and while doing that as my bread and butter and still being in the industry and doing what I really enjoy, I'd really like to take on lighting designs, probably for smaller independent companies, and just really practice my skill and trying to develop my skills as a designer and keep doing it as much as I can.
Hi, my name is Nick McCorriston. I'm third year sound designer, the only sound designer of this graduating year. And I'm 28 years old now. I've had a lot of theatre experience. I've directed shows before, I've written shows before, I've lit and done sound for shows before, I've stage managed shows before, so it's all been an all-encompassing theatrical experience on my part. But what all my early education in theatre helped me do was realise that sound was really the passion and the thing that I really wanted to do. I've worked on multiple placements at VCA. First year was mostly all puppetry placements, which was just an amazing amount of fun. It was such a shame to see the puppetry stream go from VCA at the start of 2010. In second year, it was mostly dance, and then drama at the end of the year, and this year it's been all drama, which has been fantastic. I only did one secondment. I worked at the Street Theatre in Canberra. I worked on a new work by Serious Theatre called Destination Home. It was about 4 immigrants from various backgrounds, one from England, one from India, one from a German Indian actually, one from the Philippines, and one from Britain. Did I say Britain? Did I say Britain? Maybe I didn't say Britain. One from Britain. And yeah, it was intertwining their different immigration stories. The sound design consisted of a lot of found sounds and a lot of soundscape stuff to begin with, and then as their story progressed, it sort of moved into a more theatrical, orchestrated kind of work. So it was. Yeah, it was an interesting experience working so closely with the director and a lighting designer to bring a show together in totally outside of VCA for the first time since I moved to Melbourne. So yeah, it was a good experience. Next year I'm planning to try and continue some study. I thought there was, coming into the VCA, I was under perhaps an incorrect assumption that there was a lot more theory work. So next year I'm looking to go to RMIT to study sound engineering, to give myself more of a base understanding of some technical elements and to just buffer this bachelor degree that I've done here at VCA.
Hi, my name's Nick Welland and I'm studying stage management at the VCA. I sort of started off doing a lot of stage crew in high school, so I spent a few years doing that and quite a lot of student theatre after that, work experience and things like that. Yeah, more in the sort of technical sphere, more in lighting and sound. It's only once I came to VCA that I really started doing stage management. My favourite placement would have been Dancescape in 2009 because I was really impressed by the work. That was, especially for the third years, was choreographers like Anthony Hamilton and Steph Lake, Lena Luzani, and it was just a joy to watch every night. And it was fun doing that sort of lighting in a big scale. The secondments I've taken on, one at MTC and one at Chunky Move, both stage management secondments. And I was on Behanding in Spokane at MTC, and I was on Connected earlier in the year at Chunky Move. My favourite secondment would have been Chunky Move earlier in the year doing Connected, because I was really excited to work with that company, and it was really amazing to see how they worked and be involved with who was involved in that. Like, it was some incredible people. The biggest disaster I've faced as a stage manager is sort of outside the VCA, but one night it was on this show where one of the cast members carries around a wooden baton he got very excited that night and sort of let go of his baton, and it bounced on the floor and bounced right into the audience and flew into the audience's heads. Like, they were all really scared, and they managed to just catch it, and I was like, oh my god, I nearly killed an audience member. But you know, everyone came out unscathed, and I had words with the actor following, and we sorted out a better way of doing that. But yeah, that was earlier on when I was doing stage management as well, so it really put a bit of fear in me about that sort of thing. So now I'm pretty careful about that sort of thing, and yeah, I feel I've taken away from that. Next year I would like to sort of get a bit of industry work and sort of scout around and see what sort of companies are around and that sort of thing. I also want to pick up on my lighting and sound skills. Like, I've focused on stage management here quite a bit, but I'm missing the tech side of things a bit. So I'd love to do some lighting and sound design maybe, but also even just technical stuff and that sort of thing. And hopefully maybe some stage management, but you know, I'm really excited about assistant stage managing as well, because you know, all the prop sourcing and running the stage and that sort of thing. So with sort of bigger companies and that sort of thing, that'd be great.
Hi, I'm Sunita Nair. I'm graduating from VCA as a stage management major. When I was younger, I loved playing with my push bike. My mom used to call me queen of the bicycle because I would just ride around the village. And yeah, that's all I did as a kid, just ride. Yeah, that's it. My favorite placement was, I have to say, West Side Story, because I've never been on a musical before, so learning how musical works and how fast it goes, and the role that I had was really interesting. It wasn't so much assistant stage manager, it was a lot of supporting the stage. It's pretty much assisting, but I felt like another stage manager also, so which was really good. Yeah, I would have to say West Side Story. I called the show for Unity, and that was such a big thing for me because everything is in your hands pretty much at that point, and I had a really good team, so that made me really comfortable calling a show, and I knew the show really well to actually be able to call the whole thing. So that was the biggest thing for me, and the fact that I went through it and didn't do that bad was really great. Yeah, calling a show was amazing. Yeah. I would have to say Melbourne Festival was my favorite secondment to be on because of the fact that I got to meet a lot of people, and they were really good about teaching me things, and I learned a lot from them. Yeah. I'm planning on going to Singapore to work there. So we'll see how it goes. I'm not really sure about I know about the theatre industry, but I know it's really competitive too, but I really want to try out Singapore. And yeah, actually I would just love to tour around and see how other countries, how their theatre works. And yeah, so going in that direction.
My name's Roxanne, and I am graduating from the VCA production course, majoring in stage management. I grew up as a performer. I played the piano for about 12 years, I danced for many years, and I was studying drama at university, and I was given the opportunity to stage manage a musical that the uni was putting on. And at that point I didn't know much about the role. I had a very basic understanding, and so to a great extent I threw myself in. And so it was only about a 6-month period between finishing that first show and being accepted into VCA. So coming here I didn't really have much experience, but I knew that was what I wanted to do. I've been doing a lot of technical work around the city, mostly follow spotting and lighting technician work with Mariner Theatres, and also I have been the swing floor electrician for Love Never Dies recently. A swing floor electrician is just the kind of stand-in when the swing floor electrician, or when the floor electrician is sick. So I get called in just to do the show, and that's all the on-stage lights, smoke, all that kind of stuff. In my first year, I worked primarily in puppetry, and one of the highlights for me that year was being the assistant stage manager for the Shackleton project, which was a really beautiful piece following the expedition of Ernest Shackleton in Antarctica, and the puppeteers were on stilts and operating these really heavy marionettes, and it's still one of the most beautiful pieces that I've ever worked on or seen. My final project at VCA was West Side Story, directed by Martin Croft. I guess it's kind of fitting that West Side was the final show that I worked on, because it was also the project that I presented at my interview for VCA 3 years ago, so it very neatly bookended my VCA experience. I think there was 2 consecutive nights during the West Side Story run where we had different actors out for different reasons. One of the biggest challenges though was when Tony, the lead role, the actor playing him, had strained his voice, and so he couldn't perform one night, and we ended up having to start a bit late, but we had to step through the entire show with the understudy and quickly go through everything and make sure we had costume items, and yeah, that was pretty challenging. But again, everyone pulled together and the show went on, and he did really well, and but that was quite, I don't know, stressful that night. Yeah, every show has brought up new challenges. I think the most challenging show that I've worked on though was The Good People earlier this year, and our director stepped down 2 weeks before the show was meant to open. So new director came in, and it was a devised piece, so we all had to start from scratch in many respects and forge new relationships with the director. So that was certainly very challenging. I have taken on quite a diverse range of secondments. I wanted to kind of get the most out of that experience. So I worked with the stage management team on one of the shows at the Malthouse earlier this year, and also with the stage management team on a Chunky Move show. And I was also the production assistant for arts events on the L'Oreal Melbourne Fashion Festival. I think I would really like to continue having the same diverse experiences as I've had, particularly this year. I keep forgetting that it's 2011 because I'm looking forward to 2012 so much. I'd really like to, keep working on little things, keep doing projects. There's a couple of us graduating this year that are interested in starting a theatre collective, so do some stuff with them. Yeah, just keep at it and keep working.